Yes, people, welcome to Never a Foul. As you can see, Sean is back live and kicking with us. And he's looking quite healthy today in his white room. You know, this time it's all neat and tidy. There's a lot of Tottenham stuff to, discuss as well, I suppose. You probably know more than what we do, Sean. I've seen your channel flying and, going off on one, doing lives, doing videos. It's all good, man, in the hood. What are you saying, Mo, as well? Tired all the way over in America?
It's all right. Everything is good. Lots of news this morning. And as Mon say, today we hit 9K. Hopefully we do.
Yeah, man, 10 away. I can't lie. Hay fever is kicking my ass, man, differently. So you might have to bear with me with all the sniffles and stuff like that. But as you can see on the thumbnail, Kovacic to Man City's close, advanced in personal terms. They're just all done, all sorted. And we'll talk a little bit on that. It's like we're gonna have to discuss who he might be replacing, because Daps thinks it's a Bernardo Silva replacement, where I think it's just a Gundo replacement personally. And then there's obviously Maddison. Fabrizio Romano is just confirming that Newcastle have been in a battle with Tottenham Hotspur for the signature of James Maddison, roughly around 50 million. We discussed it yesterday with Deji. He doesn't believe in Angie, he doesn't rate Maddison whatsoever. It's crazy. We'll get Sean's thoughts on that as well. Victor Lindelof is said to be going nowhere. He's been vetoed by Erik ten Hag as well. Literally not allowed to go to Eintracht Frankfurt and other clubs. Maguire is supposedly said by TalkSport that he's set to stay. There's loads of different bits and bobs as well. Obviously, Diogo Costa is a new thing, as it's just come out that Porto need money by July the 1st or June the 30th, to be exact, to be fair. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, but we'll go through it in a moment. And then there's obviously Declan Rice from Miguel Delaney, that fraud anyways. Just saying that it's a matter of time before the bid's all sorted. Things have been done just to go up to, Arsenal and be completed before they move on to someone like Caicedo. But yeah, man, even this Qatari stuff is what it is. Sean, man, let's discuss Tottenham for a little second as well. Let's just start with you, Maddison.
Okay, mate.
And Newcastle. What are your thoughts on your manager exactly? Because I had a little bit of a debate yesterday with Deji saying, like, how can you write up a manager just because he hasn't got no presence? It's the same thing with Eddie Howe. And then obviously the targets he's looking for, Maddison, Harvey Barnes, particularly, it might be Ward-Prowse, even though that the fee might be a bit stupid. And then there's obviously other targets like Harry Maguire. And I'm pretty sure there'll be many, many more along the lines, because you know what's crazy, people, right? The window has not even opened yet. It opens officially on Wednesday. It's going to get more hectic. But
yeah, good to be back, mate. In terms of Postecoglou, so I've gone a little bit 180. He was never near the top of my list when at the start of the search for him. He was like, I didn't know who he was. We were talking about Nagelsmann. We were talking about, Slot, company, young manager. That was the kind of the remit that Daniel Levy had said that he wanted to go for. And then one by one, all of those sort of fell away. And then this guy starts to emerge to the top. Obviously, I knew who he was and what he was doing, but like, it's difficult to really get a gauge on Celtic. Winning a treble at Celtic isn't that rare. Quite a few managers have done it, a domestic treble and stuff. So I wasn't excited about it, but I didn't really know too much about him and what we'd expect to see. Then as he's emerged, like, to become the favourite, I've gone and done all the research. I've spoken to Celtic fans. I've looked at the way he sets up and how he plays. And to be honest, as a Tottenham fan who prioritises good football above anything else, like a lot of Tottenham fans are desperate for trophies and things. To me, I'd rather watch good football that's unsuccessful than watching the worst football in the world that once in a blue moon picks up a trophy. To me, that's important. And so this guy is going to play awesome football, and if he can try and get the best out of or more juice from the squeeze, then I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to watching his Tottenham team set up. And I like his personality. He comes across like a real motivator, a man manager. And I genuinely think that's what Tottenham need. You know, the most of the success or the relative success that Tottenham have had when Tottenham fans have been at their happiest over the last 25 years. No one talks about George Graham ball when we won a trophy but played terrible football. No one talks about Juan de Ramos ball when we played terrible football but won a trophy. Everyone talks about Harry Redknapp, Martin Jol, and Pochettino. And the underlying common denominator there about outside of good football was sort of motivational managers that are good with the man management side. And I think that's what this guy does. So I'm open-minded. I expect it to be full of like crazy results. Some days we're gonna have a lot of fun. Other days we're gonna get turned over. Obviously, it all depends on what he does with his squad and how much money Daniel Levy gives him and how much authority he has over the transfer budget and who he wants to keep, who he wants to get off. You know, players like Harry Maguire don't make any sense. The guy plays a back four and he parks his defense closer to the halfway line than the penalty box. Harry Maguire, for me, can't play in any other system than a back three where the back line is more parked closer to the penalty box. So I don't think Harry Maguire makes any sense. I don't think there'll be any truth to that. As far as Maddison goes, look, I'm up for it. If that's who Pochettino wants to sign, Pochettino, that's who Postecoglou wants to sign, then I'm all for it. But for me, there's far more important things that we need to fix at the bottom end of the pitch. We need a goalkeeper. David Raya, apparently Tottenham are interested in him, but we don't want to pay the £40 million fee. I don't want to miss that one over a £5 or £10 million difference. I know there's a bunch of other clubs that are looking at him who are also looking for managers, for goalkeepers, like United, like Villa, like Chelsea. So for me, I think that David Raya would be a perfect fit for what we need. A ball-playing goalkeeper who can play the sweeper role, suits the system. And I think we need a centre-back before we go and get creative and look for the players like Maddison. I'd also say just quickly on James Maddison that, you know, he's very sought after by Newcastle as well. I don't really understand why Tottenham are a bigger draw than Newcastle, apart from that his wife wants to move to London. If that's the overriding factor that gets him to Tottenham, then cool. But I'd be surprised if he doesn't get a better offer from Newcastle, if I'm honest.
Yeah, man, it's a great segment to go into your actual targets right now, and there's a lot to do. But David Ornstein tweeted literally just a shock moment as well. I think Fraser, he put it here for you guys. I don't have to read it directly from Twitter. Saying Nasser Al Khelafi has played a significant role in talks over Man United sale to Sheikh Jassim. PSG president has met Glazers and Rain to discuss as well. So something's heating up. Proposed Rain to discuss the proposed takeover. Other clubs want Premier League to investigate the source of funds as well, which is reported by The Athletic. David Ornstein tweeted. And there's obviously another side as well with Jim Ratcliffe saying if he is to win, a lot of the bidders as well want a lot of the shareholders within Man United and these guys that have obviously investors want to investigate that, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe apparently only wants to, the source of his buyout is literally for the Class B shares of the Glazers and not them, and then that would likely to be taken to court. So it's crazy at Man United right now. I suppose we're talking a little bit later, but let's just keep on track. This is a transfer news show as well. This ain't a Saeed TV or Mark Goldbridge show or whatever. There's a lot. I don't know where to really start with you. We already just spoke about James Maddison. We'll talk about that a little more in depth. It seems that he's in favor of a move to Tottenham. 45 million, around 50 million valuation. There's obviously other players as well that Tottenham are in for. There's that the Japanese guy Rio Hatate as well. He's a bit similar to Ollie Skip in that box to box, a little bit more defensive type role. There's obviously more as well alongside. There's a 21 million battle for a defender from Galatasaray who has a release clause, by the way. Sorry, my hay fever. His name is
Victor Nelson.
Yep, that's another one. And then there's another defender as well that you're linked with, which is in Wolves right now, which is Kilman, which I think is a brilliant target. Left-footed, great with the ball, young, hungry. I think is definitely a great. I think Tottenham somehow, some way are heading into their targets are a good direction. The Harry Maguire stuff, though, I don't know about that. But what's your thoughts on your recent transfer news? How believable do you think these targets are, even for you, Sean?
Yeah, some of them are, some of them aren't. Like I was reading yesterday, we were linked to Edmund Tapsoba, who at Leverkusen, I think he's absolutely insane. I love that guy. He ticks every box. He's big, he's strong, he's tall, he's fast, he's composed. He can ping the balls left and right, 2-footed. He's just everything you need in a centre-back. But I can't believe for a second that he'd come to Tottenham, so I'm kind of scratching that one off. We've been linked with Luke Caber, Castello Jr. in France. I think he's a very cool, young, up-and-coming centre-back, left-footed, does all the things. But again, I don't know whether or not he's going to be sought after by some bigger clubs in Spain. In terms of Kilman, yeah, I think I agree with your sentiment on him. I think he ticks a lot of boxes. Whilst we're on Wolves, I actually think that Connor Cody's available for $4.5 million. Now, I don't want Connor Cody coming in as
it's also Sanchez swap, by the way.
Who, for Kilman?
Yeah, as well. Or
yeah.
You're thinking of leader, though, right? You're not thinking of young. You're thinking of a leader in Cody. Would you take someone like, as you was going to say? Would you take him for that money?
I'd take Connor Cody, but I don't want him to be like our kind of statement signing.
Obviously, it has $4.5 million of Connor Cody, the statement signing. You might as well write off your whole season.
No, exactly. But Tottenham, I think, are going to get rid of. We've got so many players to clear out, right? We're probably going to get rid of Sanchez. Don't know what's going to happen with Eric Dyer. Joe Rodon's probably going to get moved on if we can. Longlay's returning back to Barcelona in all likelihood because he doesn't now fit the system. So for me, like, there's probably 2 or 3 centre-backs that need to come in. One right-footed to compete with Romero, and then 2 for the left. And for me, I feel like you could, I'd love Max Kilman to come in. Connor Cody for $4.5 million, I think, is really good value for money. He's a no-nonsense centre-back, and I think that
he doesn't suit Ange at all.
Who doesn't?
Connor Cody. Ange is because Ange is more a progressive coach. That's what we've been told.
Connor Cody's good on the ball, though.
Is he seriously? He is a low blocking defender with Tarkovsky at Everton. Come on, Cass.
I agree.
You know how it is.
I agree.
It's not. Maguire is better on the ball than him. See, I'm saying
in England, I think it was Tyrone Mings, and I think it might have been Sterling saying who's the better characters in the dressing room. They all say to point their fingers toward Connor Cody for $4.5 million. This is what you're going to get in your dressing room. This is a sort of character you're going to get. Like, even though he's not exactly a winner.
So $4.5 million to get a captain. Is that what it is?
And what do we say about Spurs as well? Like, remember, by the way, Sean, I know this might be a bit weird for you, but this is context Cass over the summer before Seamus Cass comes back in. So I'm trying to, you want to play, I'll try to play the other part, right? I think that would be a great signing for them because you got people like Eric Dyer, Langley, who's going back on loan anyways. Sanchez is there. There's no point. And what other centre backs have you got exactly? And then you got, Joe Rodon, he's probably on his way out as well, potentially by the remote. And there's one more centre back as well. I think I've forgotten his name. Jaffa Tanganga, I think his name is.
Japit Tanganga, yeah, but I think he's going to be moved
a right
as well,
back. He's more of a right back. He's going to go on loan.
Yeah,
right. Is that
My
problem with this, Cass, is that you filter at your club. So if they have Romero on the right side as a right centre back and he gets injured and Connor Cody slots in, the whole system has to change. Because I don't think he can play the same football. Like you, when Maguire came on because Lisandro was injured or Lindelof, you had to change a little bit. And I think this Ange guy has one way of playing football, which is progressive football, built from the back, high press. So why would I want to go for a Connor Cody, where I can build with a youngster, maybe, that can play the ball from the back? Connor Cody isn't a ball playing centre back. He's a low block, an Everton style Sean Dyche defender that likes to hit the ball, block the ball, like get everybody like together in the defense, two lines of 4. So why would you want to go? Yes, cheap. I don't think cheap should play a factor here in deciding who you go to for in this window.
It's a good point,
especially for Spurs.
It's a good point you make, and I'm not going to argue it. I like the player, and I feel like he's a little bit adaptable. I take your point, though. Does he suit the high line? Maybe not. One of the players that I have been looking at in depth, I use this Y Scout tool. I don't know if you've heard of Y Scout tool. It's a brilliant tool. And I looked at this guy, Victor Nelson from Galatasaray. So usually on the Y Scout tool, right, you can dial into. Oh shit! Am I still there with you? I don't know if my internet's gone.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You can dial into any department of someone's game, right? So you could look at their long passing ability, for example, and then you'll just see a long list of like 100 clips every time he's ever hit a long pass in his career. One after another, 10-second clip, 10-second clip. Usually when I'm reviewing a player for long passes, you might see one successful, then 2 that go out into touch, one that's, you just see a mixed bag of results. This guy, his ability to ping long balls. I have never seen someone, it took me 22, 23 clips to go back historically, chronologically, before he made a mistake. I've never seen a player with such confidence at pinging balls as this Danish guy, Victor Nelson, doing it for Galatasaray. And they obviously sit with a really high line as well. So if there's truth to the rumor that Tottenham are going to pay 20 million and get hold of his, pay out his release fee, I think he makes a lot of sense as well. And like I say, I really want Tottenham to go out there and have a statement signing. And we're linked with a whole bunch of players. Jonathan Tah from Leverkusen alongside Tapsoba. Either of those I'd be happy with. We need someone to come in that can marshal that defense, but also keep calm and try and get the best out of Christian Romero. Because I think one of the problems with Christian Romero, or one of the many problems with him, is he's a bit of a lunatic. And if he can have someone next to him who can marshal that defense and make sure that he stays measured, then I think Tottenham will improve exponentially. And the one player that we have been linked with who fits that sort of mold for me is Aymeric Lapote. I don't know if we've got any chance of really signing him, but
yeah. there's no chance.
No chance. We've been linked with him all summer. So.
No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I rubbished that off. I context cast, shameless cast on. There is no chance of getting that man right
there. Come on, Sean. You really believe you can get Aymeric Lapote from Man City to sign for Spurs?
No, I'm just going off of what's in the media, right? And that
so you're addressing every rumor. You're addressing every rumor.
Yeah, okay. I'm addressing the rumors, but that particular one started off in the team talk kind of levels, right? The kind of clickbait nonsense stuff. But the other day it was in the Observer, the Independent, and the Times, and it was in some tier 1 Spanish newspaper as well. So I just don't know whether or not, like, when you start to find that story makes its way into the kind of the realms of the media corners that actually have integrity, some part in their thought process, then I don't know if there's more kind of sincerity to the rumor or not. I still highly doubt he'd come to Tottenham over the plethora of other clubs that will be after him. But a boy can dream, can't he? I think he would be absolutely amazing if we could sign him.
Sean, do you think with Kane now linked to not only Real Madrid to Bayern Munich as well, to replace Mane, who is leaving, do you think after Kane with Ange, personally, if you get your signings, whatever the realistic ones, do you think you are back on track, or you think it's a rebuild that will take years?
It's a rebuild. Unless everything clicks immediately, then it will be at least a couple of years. And I'm glad to see he signed a 4-year project, because I think we have to have a little bit of patience with this guy. One of the really interesting things, though, about the Harry Kane story, like whether he leaves or stays, the more I've looked into how Celtic set up under Ange Postecoglou, their number 9, Kyogo, the little guy, 5'7", he banged in 34 goals. Kyogo Furuhashi, I think his name is. He banged in 34 goals, but he really wasn't instrumental in the build-up to the way that they played. He was always getting on the end of it. He was seen more as like a sacrificial lamb that would pull players out of position and allow people behind him, like Matt O'Reilly and Abada or Jota on the wings, or even Rio Hatate, to come in and fill the space and and they would be the ones that would be the creators in chief. I don't know how Harry Kane, if he was to stay at Tottenham, is going to feel about being asked to play in. If you want to try and emulate the exact same system, then I don't think Harry Kane fits that number 9 role the way that Postecoglou wants to play it. So you're either going to have to ask him to step back into one of the kind of 3 number 8s that represents the 10, or maybe it makes more sense than ever to cash in on Harry Kane now and send him over to Real Madrid and try and get 120 million and then give that money to Post to go and buy whoever he needs to recreate the system.
I look at the profile of Rio Hatate. I know he plays for Celtic, right? And he's very much left-footed. I know he's very much right-footed, but he does love the cutting and shoot. I've seen Celtic this year in some occasions, not loads. I've seen it, like the guy's registered 15 to 20 GA this year, and I know it's the Scottish League, but a handful of them did come. A few of them did come in the Champions League. If anyone doesn't know, this guy is like he's small. If anyone remembers the World Cup as well, he's Japanese. Very tidy. That's why they call him an Oliver Skip upgrade, right? I like Ollie Skip. I think he'd be a great squad player. But that guy gives you a little bit of something. So that's a Celtic player that he'd happily bring down with him, which I think can get done. It's a cheap deal. I think Levy would approve or something like that. Kilman's another one like that as well, which I think is going to be a little bit more expensive, I'd say. Sanchez is interesting for Wolves. I think Wolves potentially have a relegation fight in their hands next year. But then the last one, obviously, is You was saying that the Victor Nelson, he's decent. He's about 6'1". I think he's about 6'1". Very good in the air, but he's not very fast. And obviously, people tend to go along the lines of Angie plays a high line. He's going to want fast centre backs, but that doesn't always mean the case if your brain moves faster than your legs, right? So I don't know. It'd be interesting.
I think you need somebody though. You need somebody in your back line who's got the pace,
12,
right?
12 million, yeah. 12. I think Christian Romero's got a decent amount of pace, but for what you want in him is somebody, as you said, that's good with the ball. You don't really have a good ball playing centre back. Eric Dyer's okay on the ball, but he's not fantastic. This guy is more known for it. I would say from Galatasaray. I think a 12 million, you can't say no to that, right, Mo? Like literally, you can't. These are the sort of players you want to see, the unknown players that teams want to probably get in about a few years. It might work out. It might not work.
Kim Min-jae was playing in the Turkish league as well before they got him in Serie A. Yeah, so
yeah. It'd be. I think Spurs are definitely interesting to watch. It's a good base, anyways. What your target? What would you say is a realistic target for you next year? Then, what do you want to see, Sean? Before we move on to like Manchester City and so forth and Arsenal.
I want to see good football. I want to see a plan. I want to see something emerge where the fans can get behind, be excited to watch the club. And listen, my realistic expectations at the top end of them is a Europa League, like try and get into 6th, something like that. And I want to see a decent cup run. I want to see us take the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup seriously. And I want to see the players, like I say, get behind something and move forward. I think there's no chance of getting to the top 5 next year unless some absolute miracle happens at Tottenham and then some disasters happen elsewhere. But I think that maybe Tottenham could squeeze into 6th or 7th. And then that would be a good basis and a good baseline for us to then move forward in year 2 and year 3 of this project. But like I say, I'm expecting on certain days us to get absolutely smashed by teams that know how to set up against a guy who essentially only has one way of doing it. He doesn't have a plan B, which worries me a little bit, but I'm excited to see it, mate. It's been a long time since Tottenham have played good football, and that's going to be something fun to watch.
Sometimes your plan B might just like, look, you tried to play, but how is he going to adapt if it doesn't work, right? You're going to have to play maybe some counter-attacking football potentially. That's sometimes, look what my clubs had to do, man, in under Ten Hag. Sometimes you don't have the players, but you got some exciting fullbacks coming back, like Jed Spence, Utd as well. You got Ndombele coming back. Basuma should have he should thrive under this manager. He should. I think Højbjerg probably will hold the bench, and it's all about that attacking outlet for you guys. Big up TJ Warren in the building, becoming a member. Guys, if you want to become a member and support Never a Foul, literally in the description below, if you literally put your phone upwards, I'm going to do that so you don't see it on my phone screen. Literally, let's put it up. You will see description, click more. And you know what else you see there, guys? You see the like button. The like button, if we can get the likes up to 150 today, I know a lot of you guys can't be arsed doing it, but it's a Friday. It'd be much appreciated. Friday's usually a low day when it comes to guys on YouTube. I understand people want to be out there. It's warm. As you can see, it's very bright outside. But look, we're here, man, trying to update you with anything that we can, But moving on to your rivals, anyways. Arsenal Football Club. There's Miguel Delaney, who I call a fraud, anyways. But he said this. I think David Ornstein's kind of hinted at it as well, that his most likely destination is Arsenal. It's not unknown news, as well. Literally, what Miguel Delaney has said along the lines: the fee between Arsenal and West Ham for Declan Rice is almost agreed, which is roughly said to be around 90 odd million. The only problem right now is that West Ham want the money paid in 2 installments, not 5, not 4, not 3 installments. If that's to be true, that's a lot of budget up front for a player, don't you think, Mo?
Yeah. But again, you want to do the job, you just have to pay the money. You want to get the job done, you have to pay the money. I think if Arsenal are serious, you go get it done. This is what's going to take them over the line. 2 installments. Who cares? They are billionaires. They have money. They didn't spend a lot last year. They should go make it. It's like, I don't know why we're sitting here talking about 2 installments instead of 5. Who cares? Just pay the money.
It's important, though.
Why it's important, Sean? Why it's important?
Well, because of the cash flow, like so most football clubs, like Tottenham, for example, have got like 200 million quid in the cash in the bank, right? But that's not there just for transfers. And Tottenham have got, I think, something like by a country mile, the highest cash reserves in the bank. If you have to spend, the reason why most they do transfers, amortize it over the course of the contract, not just on the books, but they actually pay for the player over the course of the contract as well. It's for cash balances, right? It allows you to have your cash flow forecasting, to be able to get around things, to be able to make appropriate concessions in other ways, to have to go, and it's almost the same challenges as someone who's, if you're triggering a minimum fee release clause.
Everything what you said is fantastic, and they should just walk away from Declan Rice. Is that what I'm understanding from you? What I'm understanding from you is cash flow is important. If it's not on 5 installments, yeah, that's too much, 2 installments. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying walk away. I'm just saying that if they do that, if they agree to that deal right now, and then the next, that's going to impact their ability to make their next signing. Like, that's going to impact their ability to negotiate the third and the fourth signing. If every chairman that Arsenal want to deal with this summer require the same sort of structures in their payments, then it's going to be it won't be possible. So if you yield to that sort of concession now for Declan Rice, without really hammering home the need to negotiate on that and try and find some kind of middle ground, the next chairman might do the same thing, and the chairman after that might do the same thing. And then all of a sudden, Arsenal can't then make the fourth signing if that's what they need to do, because their cash balances are completely empty. So there are consequences to having those sorts of terms embedded into contracts that it's unimportant to you or me, or maybe it's uninteresting, but it's still
for fans. It's unimportant for fans. It might be relevant to fans thinking. It might be relevant to fans thinking that if we get this signing this way, we might not get the next signing. But this is their marquee signing, Declan Rice. They've been talking about this for months now. And if they don't get it over the line, other people will step in and maybe pay the money on 2 installments, as Cass said. And it's worrying if Arsenal don't get Declan Rice. It's really worrying for a team that want to challenge for the titles, for the team that want to go to the next step, which is actually winning and instead of just challenging. They should get it over the line. If the owners are serious, they should invest the money. I don't know, from their pocket, from the club. They should take a loan. It's not my problem. It's not my problem.
Like, obviously, any Arsenal fans, there's obviously outgoings in Xhaka. Partey apparently might be actually signing a new deal, not actually leaving. There's obviously a Balogun as well, that there is 1 in 30 in football. He scored 21 league goals in France, which is pretty impressive, I suppose, for a guy his age. He's only 21. He's literally turning 22 this summer. And obviously some Arsenal fans want him to stay, but Arsenal fans think they're going to get 30, 40 million out of him, where realistically, I think even a gal said it, he saw maybe just one off report. It doesn't mean it's obviously true. It's just rumors around the 20 odd million mark. I can't really see teams paying 30, 40 million for Balogun. Not if you just got 21 league goals in France. To be that impressive, you probably got to be scoring crazy amount of goals, right? But he's definitely got a good presence about him, got good characteristics. And yeah, man, if he wants to go back to Arsenal, he's going to have to fight for that spot. But I think Arsenal are more than happy to keep Jesus and Nketiah. I don't think they're looking at Tony. The interesting thing is, do they pay for Tony now and get him in January, or do they look elsewhere? It was, again, I was going to say it last time on stream when the gal was here, but no, he wasn't a gal. He wasn't here the other day. Be interesting to see what happens with Lukaku and where he goes to. What club's going to be paying for him, because Chelsea are going to have to take.
He's gonna stay at the Inter now.
What, for a loan?
For a loan, same fee.
Fair enough.
They already. I think there are talks already, and they're telling me that they already agreed that he's gonna stay another year. So
yeah, man.
How's Inter's transfer budgets this year? Have they got any budget like outside?
So yesterday, new thing, Cass, because new thing, Cass. So the president, the owner, the kid of the Sunning owner, said that they are negotiating refinancing the loan, so they don't have to have a net profit of 60 million or 40 million or whatever. They are actually going to refinance the loan. That means we'll have the money that we made from the Champions League, 70 odd million, for the market. That's why the Lukaku rumors already surfaced right away that, okay, we can pay for the loan money, we can keep Lautaro, we can keep everybody else, and we can actually invest about 40 to 50 million in the market. And that's something in Italian clubs are.
But you're just kicking the can down the road, though, right? If you've got to refinance,
so they had to do it on the loan was on 3 years. It was 300 million on 3 years. Now they're going to refinance it for a longer period with less interest, and that means you don't have to pay as much every year, which is what every debt is. So that's what happens yesterday. It was just yesterday with him that he said they're advanced talk to refinance the loan. So that means Lukaku might stay, Lautaro stay in Barella, but still everybody, Onana, we don't have to sell anybody, and we might even add players next year.
Wow,
that's true. Well, crazy. That's for in the news, but forget in there anyways. Arsenal as well. Jorginho might be leaving. People.
Lazio.
Yeah, Lazio might be getting in for him, and then there's obviously rumors the other way coming back, which everyone thinks he's going to stay in that league. Is Sergej Milinkovic-Savic going the other way, which is I don't know. I don't know if he gets his move. A lot of teams are interested in him. This guy, man, he's always rumored every year, and I think he's just his last year of his contract, if I believe. I'm not too sure, but I don't know, man. Jorginho's only just signed, but doesn't mean he can't get shifted, right? It'll be easy, especially if he wants to go back to his home country in Italy. I'm pretty sure that would be pretty easy to do.
on a free transfer again.
yeah, pretty much. Moving on to the Man City stuff. There's not a lot of Man City movement, especially before the end of before the start of the Champions League final. But what we do know is Kovacic literally has been in advanced talks with his negotiations for his personal terms. That's pretty much sorted according to Fabrizio. And then along them lines is obviously the transfer fee with Chelsea, who have not really been good in negotiations. They demanded 52 million and add-ons for Kai Havertz. And then they're trying to negotiate with Manchester United, they're asking for 70 million plus 10 for Mount. So I wonder how these negotiations should go. How much do you think Kovacic is worth? What do you think his fees were?
25, 30 million with 1 year left. 30 million with 1 year left.
How much would you pay for him? Is that how much you'd pay for him? If
25, 30, yeah. He's 20. He's almost 29, isn't he? Kovacic.
Yeah, roughly about that.
So that's his last contract, and there is zero resale value for this guy. Zero. He's 29. So if you sign him in a 4-year contract, it's going to be 33 by the end of his contract. You'll have to let him go on a free, or you sign a 1 year in a 1 year, depending on how he performs. So that means you cannot go and spend 50, 60 million because there's no resale value. You have to put that in mind. So I think 25, 30 million pounds is a maximum for him with a 1 year left in the contract. Isn't that the fee they agreed on?
No one's actually agreed on no fee just yet. That's the thing. They're negotiating a fee, but it's rumored to be roughly around 30 million. Kovacic is wicked though, man. But I just want to know, Sean, who do you think he replaces? Like Gundo, it's always the hype around Gundogan and Bernardo Silva leaving Manchester City. But if you look at it as a type of player, does he replicate someone that takes over Gundogan's kind of role or Bernardo Silva's kind of role?
Yeah, I think it's more Gundogan. I think it's his sort of press resistance, his ability to kind of just run through the middle, box to box, to me, and get on the end of things. To me, is I think he's an obvious replacement for Gundogan. But where's Gundogan going? Do we know?
No one actually knows.
Yes. Terms agreed with Barcelona yesterday evening while I was in bed. I found I got a lot of news. I got a lot of 3-year contract, 2 years with a year an option. So I think he might go to Barcelona. Which
I don't know if he's fit to lace his boots. I love Kovacic, but I think Gundogan is just different level.
Huh? Really?
No,
Are you serious?
What do you mean?
Okay.
I love him. I love Gundogan. I think Gundogan's an absolutely sensational player.
No, Gundogan is a completely different player. They're completely different. Someone like Kovacic is quick, goes with the ball, travels with the ball, goes defensively. They're completely two different
I would say Gundogan's better in every area, pretty much.
Not defensively, not as quick as him.
Gundogan's played DM by himself and managed just fine.
Yeah, but you play DM for Man City, you don't have to defend the game like this.
Yeah, I know, but it's still a good role.
I
think Gundogan can do. I think
Gundogan is a better player, but if you tell me is a better player on the ball, but overall player, Kovacic might excel in more areas.
I'm not too sure. Maybe keeping the ball, Kovacic is that little bit better. But Gundogan
Kovacic is a ball carrier. You know how it is. He gets the ball, can dribble 2-3 players on the run. This is something that is not a lot of players can do. And you like this, guys. You praise this guy Kone about this all the time.
Yeah, no, Kone is just because you just don't get
you dribble with the ball is something that is not everyone can do now. Like Eze, Olise, these guys that have glides through players. It's something Gundogan will give you goals, clutch moments, and everything. And he's a brilliant player, maybe smarter than Kovacic. But Kovacic, there is a reason why Kovacic won a lot of trophies as well. Won 4 Champions League.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, if you haven't done so, 10 likes off of literally 100 likes. Please get us up to 100 likes. If you haven't done so, I beg you do it. But yeah, man, United news. There's obviously loads of Man United news every day. Liverpool news has kind of fell flat. Not much going on in that area. There was rumors of Kefren Turam, of course, personal terms, private jet, plane watching, all that kind of stuff. Hasn't happened yet. It might be a little bit more today, man. It's Friday. But yeah, Man United news today is kind of hefty. As you can see, it might be the end of David De Gea potentially as number one. Diogo Costa, Porto need the money, and the most valuable asset right now currently is their goalkeeper. And if there's one that
He's
Man
amazing.
United, Diogo Costa. Do you rate him?
Yeah, he's so good. If you get the Y Scout tool out, right, and you pump in. Like you go to the goalkeepers and you start out with like, I don't know, 3,000 goalkeepers around world football. And then you select all the filters of everything you could possibly want from a goalkeeper and you dial everything right up to the best, to the highest levels. And all one by one, all the other goalkeepers vanish. And Diogo Costa is always there. He is like, in terms of statistics, he is the best over the last 365 days, the last calendar year. He is, just statistically, just incredible. And then when you take the stats test and you move it to the seeing eye test, I think he's agile. I think he can get down. His distribution's class. He's commanding presence. He's good in the air. To me, Tottenham fans want David Raya. I love Costa. Yeah, I think he's brilliant.
Costa is absolutely wicked. If Man United get Costa, he's wicked, bro.
There's reservations over him. Some people don't actually rate the guy as much as they say he doesn't handle the ball too well. You know, it's been evident like World Cup and stuff like he's got a couple of mistakes in him potentially as well. Like there's some Man United fans thinking, I don't know, especially for his price. They say he's roughly around Daily Mail and all these outlets are saying he costs around 65 million in his release clause. But I'm thinking if Porto need money, surely you don't pay the release clause. Surely you just put in a £50 million fee. 65 million is a lot of money for a goalkeeper at the end of the day. I know there's Allison. You never knew what he was going to get with him from Roma at the time, but 65 million is a big chunk of what Man United.
This is how much it's going to cost you, Cass, now to get a top goalkeeper that can play with the feet and can also is a good goalkeeper. There is no other way. Like Onana,
he's 23 as well,
50.
mate.
Yeah. Like Onana would cost you 50, 60 million at least. Costa would do that. If David Raya costs 40 to 45 million, this guy Costa, I think he's better than David Raya. So come on, just. Pay up to get your goalkeeper. Pay up to put David De Gea on the bench.
You
go on.
Oh, my internet's fucked. Sorry, just to say, you're 23 years old. You've got a guy there that can be your number one for the next 12 years if you want. You know what I mean? He's and he really is that good in my eyes. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't get this notion of like, oh, let's negotiate 5, 10. You wanna pay up, and get your guy that will make a challenge. He is. I didn't know that he's that good until I watched about like 6, 7 Porto games this year. He is wicked. Like the reflexes, like De Gea reflexes on the ball, close to like he ping ball like amazing from the back. He is everything you need.
He's saving penalties. Everyone's seen him saving penalties as well, man.
He is everything Man United need now.
Yeah, I'd say so. You need to pay for it. But they say Ramsdale is actually the most valuable keeper in the world currently.
Ramsdale.
You know that? Yeah, they say Ramsdale is. Yeah, that's what's on the.
Look at Sean's face when we said,
man. No, I like Rams. I like Ramsdale. He's obviously
the most valuable keeper in the world.
No, he's not the most valuable keeper in the world. He's not the most valuable keeper in the world.
Not even close.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Man United thing in a minute. As well. Just going through a couple more. So people that thought you were going to get Cockju, anyone that knows Cockju from Feyenoord, he's going to. It looks like he is going to Benfica, and I know he's been linked with Man United, he's been linked with Liverpool, and I think he might be linked with you guys and Tottenham. But he's going to literally. They say his fee. They're closing the deal with Benfica, €30 million fee. So that's a steal. Got sell-on clause around 20% they've installed because guess what? They booked in a medical test and it's got €120 million buyout clause. So if this guy becomes the real deal, at Benfica, man, they're so sick at negotiations. Like really and truly, they are. And when it comes to contracts, they don't mess around, man. They want their money. You're paying up whether you like it or not. Crazy. And then there's obviously Ross. If people don't know, Ross Barkley's leaving Nice as a free agent. You know, does anyone remember Ross Barkley by any chance?
Yeah. Ross Barkley.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. And then obviously Victor Lindelof. Fabrizio said on Victor Lindelof that Eric Ten Hag has never changed the position on Lindelof. He's untouchable. Same message sent to Atletico and Inter last January, still valid now. Eintracht were never in concrete talks to Man United. Atletico and Inter were keen on signing him, but there's literally zero chance. So Victor Lindelof is going nowhere for Man United fans.
What about Donny any news on Donny van der Beek?
Yeah, there was some the other day.
Is that even a real person?
Yeah, there was some the other day on Donny van der Beek saying that he wants to leave, obviously, to go play some football. Like, it just hasn't worked out at Man United, clearly, and he's not going to be in no plans. He's not going to get first team football at Man United. The injury was bad enough as it was, but it's just you just got to move him on. He's going to go for cheap, isn't he? So, would you take him?
How much for him?
I would have no idea. I don't know. How much do you reckon Donny van der Beek's probably worth? He's probably worth, but you probably could shift him for about 15 million.
It's insane how much of a fall off he's had. Like, it just didn't work. It's just from hero to zero, basically.
But he was never good. He was only good at Ajax for a bit.
He was great at Ajax, though. He tore us up in the
Sanchez was fantastic. Jose Mourinho said Sanchez was a great defender.
Yeah,
that's why you paid 45 million for Sanchez. Do you remember that? 45 million.
Yeah, I remember.
The Ajax team were average or just good.
Donny van der Beek was okay. Was good, but he wasn't like Ziyech. He wasn't De Jong. He wasn't even the guy up top that played for Southampton. I can't remember his name now. Like, he wasn't one of these guys. He was just one of the midfielders that just run around. Somehow,
but I think maybe they were flattered by the fact that they had, like, when you've got like De Vrij at the back and De Ligt and all that stuff at the same time, that particular group, that particular year, the 2018-2019 Ajax team was Ziyech, and it was a fantastic team to watch. So when you broke them up and they went in different directions to join different teams, very few of them really kicked on. I wouldn't say Ziyech kicked on his career at Chelsea. I wouldn't say De Vrij's been. But De Ligt. I mean, De Ligt failed.
De Vrij wasn't there. It's not De Vrij. It's De Ligt. De Ligt failed at Juventus. Completely failed at Juventus. But
De Vrij not there as well?
Bayern Munich this year, huh?
No, De Vrij.
De Vrij was a Lazio player.
He was a Lazio.
My bad.
He's a Lazio player. De Jong, success at Barcelona, of course, success. I don't know who else.
There was, I know they had Tagliafico still there, isn't he?
Onana
went to your
Onana is doping, so he got suspended for like 6 months.
Oh, Veltman ended up at Brighton, man.
Veltman is a success.
Yeah. Well, for now, 1 like off 100, guys. If you haven't liked the video, make sure you do so. Let's just get this over 100 likes at least. Let's talk on the Man United thing, because I don't know, if someone can bring it up, it would be great. But I'll repeat anyways. The Man United takeover stuff, since it's such a thing. Laurie Whitwell here says, fascinating dynamic at play, with questions being asked at a high level in football about who is driving Sheikh Jassim's Man United bid. He has no direct role in negotiations. Ratcliffe's team's confident on success, but fifth Qatar offer is said to be significant. And then there's obviously rumors about if PSG have been involved in the bid, and there's obviously about whose funds is it? Is it PSG's funds? Whose funds is it? There's going to be an investigation into it, I'm pretty sure. The Premier League might block it, even though they've got approved ages ago anyways for these two bidders. So I don't know. They say as well he's involved. David Ornstein has said, obviously, as I was saying, Al-Khalafi Nasser from PSG is being contacted by Glazers in an attempt to persuade Sheikh Jassim to increase his bid. His involvement in United talks, even in an advisory capacity, has caused eyebrows to be raised elsewhere in the Premier League. And those in the Premier League would want the source of any funds thoroughly investigated. Now, what does that tell you exactly?
That's Daniel Levy. That is 100% Daniel Levy getting his oar in that one. 100%.
Manchester Saint-Germain. What do you actually think about it, though? Like, do you think there's something fishy going on?
I don't. It's dragged on and on and on. Like I thought that it was. To be honest, like I haven't really followed the story the last month. I was under the impression that Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, had won the last round of bidding. Like you'd have to catch me up. Like how many? Like do they have the finishing rounds of bidding? Ineos was the bid the highest, and then the Glazers went, and we'll just start again and do it around. Like, why is it continuing to drag on? I don't understand.
If what I don't understand, all right, my take on it is, so if Sir Jim's got such a great bid, right? He's got this amazing bid that's preferred. Why would you keep telling the next man to keep bidding, like keep adding extra bids if that Sir Jim bid was going to win and he hasn't, and Sir Jim's bid has not even shifted whatsoever? My thoughts along it is like, has Sir Jim really even bidded for Man United like that? Is it like a concrete bid whatsoever? Or is it just a little bit of a shadow so the other lot can bid higher? Do you know what I mean? And they have bidded higher twice, not 5 times. There's a third bid, which makes sense, which I'm sure Sir Jim went to as well, yada, yada, yada. But then it went to a fourth bid, not that good enough. And then now they're saying that this bid is so good that people thought it was 5.2 billion plus the hedge fund of, or wherever it was, of 800 odd million, a billion in investment into the stadium, into training complexes, wherever it may be. They're saying that this bid is actually 6 billion of what their asking price. They've literally bid apparently their asking price. Mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in the end, the Glazers are getting what they want. And then now, like what I've seen as well for you guys to understand is that they're saying about this, then they might be putting an investigation into Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid, because they're saying they think that they're going to be using banks, which are not allowed to do in a Premier League no more, which is illegal, to purchase Manchester United exactly the same way what the Glazers did back in 2005, was it? About 2005 to take over Man United. And then they're saying the investors as well of Sir Jim, of his bid, is saying along the lines like, your bid takeover is literally for the Glazers shares, and investors in Manchester United currently are unhappy and say they will take it to court. And then now, all of a sudden, there's a spin now towards Manchester United. The guy that's been doing the bidding for them has been the guy that owns PSG. And then now it's just saying, I don't think people actually understand anything real, like from this, and just taking their own perspective and opinions on it. But the last bid is looking quite concrete, and they just want to know if PSG have had any sort of hand in that bid whatsoever. And if it's proven that there's nothing in hand at the moment, because I'm pretty sure the Premier League, the Rain Group and everything know that if this was the guy from PSG doing the negotiations for them, since he's close, France and England, then they would have said no ages ago. So it's kind of mad how this has been going on for approximately about 9 months, 8 months. About 8 months. It's crazy to me. I just don't know where this saga is going to end. And then they're going to also, apparently as well, on top of that, they're saying if this drags out for so long as well, they're going to take, both of them are going to take the Glazers to court.
Yeah, and if it's not resolved soon, then the window's going to pass you by, right? And are the Glazers going to be spending money on players that they don't? You know what I mean? Like this thing would have been finished before the end of the January window. What I do find interesting, I'm building a video about multi-club ownership, because obviously the Red Bull system, like they kind of changed when the rules changed with regards in UEFA competitions. How is it that you can have 2 clubs that are owned by the same entity where it's all about Chinese walls? As long as there is complete division of labor, complete division of power, and no overlap, then it's not really an issue with the multi-club ownership thing. But the reason why Gary Neville did that interview on his podcast with Seferin, the UEFA president, they said that they were going to soften the rules regarding sovereign wealth funds that looked to want to have multi-club ownership, to make it in line with the same as everybody else, which is as long as there is Chinese walls and nobody's communicating, complete separation and no influence either way. In reality, it's a complete shambles, because the 2 Red Bull clubs, Salzburg and Leipzig, they've had more player trading between their 2 clubs than any other pairing of clubs in European history by a factor of 4 or 5 times. So the idea that there is no relationship between the 2 is absolute nonsense. But if Manchester United are going to get bid or bought by Qatar, then I guess that the reason why they're investigating it is because if the Qatari QSI, which is not technically linked to the sovereign fund, if they are getting involved in the negotiations, then it would be an indication that there is no separation of powers, and that would be where it's blocked by UEFA. So I'm guessing that's where the problem is, right? If QSI seem to be getting involved, then it's clear that there is no separation between the sheikh and the guy.
Here is the difference. I'm sorry. Here is the difference, Sean, between Red Bull and if the Qataris own. The difference in Red Bull is a company. that means there are finances involved that has auditors and stuff like this. So you cannot actually play with the finances. You cannot just take from this pot and put in this pot because there is audit. Well, for the Qataris, okay, this is kind of a kingdom, if you know what that means. That means all the money in this country goes to the royal family. Everything. That means when you're born to the royal family, you're assigned a share of the money. And at the end, all this money is owned by one family. That means there is no separation in the money. There's a difference between when you own different divisions in a company, you don't own the company. It's just a public company. Red Bull I think is like there are way more.
It's not publicly listed though. Red Bull's not it's not on the stock exchange.
Is it owned by somebody, by one person?
It's owned by partners. Yeah, it's a partnership.
By partners.
Group, yeah.
But the Qataris it's a royal family. I'm not here saying that this should exist, but you know what I mean by a royal family. That means the money goes around. What somebody earns at PSG, the money at the end, it goes to the royal family. If they make money, it goes to the royal family. So it can go to the other club as well. And that's a big difference between the two Red Bull clubs.
Actually, 100%.
So there's a massive difference. You cannot compare both.
No, I'm not comparing the two. It's just like the reason I brought up the Red Bull situation is because the rules, like back in the day, ENIC, like we're talking about Daniel Levy maybe getting involved to try and block this because he always does put his oar in. But ENIC, back in the 90s, were the first company that actually broke the mold on multi-club ownership when they owned AEK Athens, Rangers, Slavia Prague, Tottenham, Basel, and one other. And then because two of those clubs qualified for the same European competition, UEFA stepped in and blocked it and said, you can't do this. You've got to sell all those other clubs. They ended up divesting it and just sticking with Tottenham. But then the rules changed. The rules changed back in 2000, I think it was 7, to allow for two clubs to qualify in the same competition that are technically owned by the same owner, as long as they can demonstrate
separation in power.
Separation in power. And
so what about Nice? Can you explain to me a little bit about Nice? Maybe you know more than us. Why Sir Jim Ratcliffe is allowed to do that while his company or his fund, whatever, can own Nice, and also they can bid for Man United, and both can play in the Champions League?
Because the apparent demonstration was that they would employ different people. Say that Ineos is essentially the same situation as Red Bull. You can demonstrate quite easily. This person here, person A, is the head of the team.
The CEO here and the CEO are different.
The CEO, exactly. Two completely different things. The reason, again, why I bring up Red Bull is that in reality, whilst they've demonstrated on paper that there's no overlap, in reality, the fact that 25 players have transferred between Salzburg and Leipzig shows that, of course, there's a relationship, and the whole thing is absolutely nonsense. So Nice and Manchester United isn't technically an issue. And the only reason that the UEFA rules are different for sovereign funds, until very recently, until October, Ceferin said that sovereign funds are not allowed to participate in multi-club ownership outside of Europe or outside of the ways where they can compete with each other. City Football Group is a slight different scenario, but because in October Gary Neville spoke with Ceferin and they said we're thinking about loosening up the rules on it, that maybe now it will be allowed to happen as long as they can demonstrate that there's no overlap and that there's always separation of powers. But whether that's true or not remains to be seen.
You know, my opinion on this now, is that the fact that the bid is so significant that it more than likely is going to be accepted by Glazers, the greedy bastards, is that the fact is now when there's more hype around it, it sounds to me like owners have got the first whim of the Premier League, right? Since they're so high up in power, they know what's the ingoing. My suspect means that this bid has probably been accepted and now they want an investigation. That kind of just shows me rivals might be scared about what's about to happen because they're thinking, crap, we've already got City, crap. If that happens with Man United and there's Newcastle doing their silent thing up in the northeast of England, it's like, crap, oh, damn. Let's go. And that's the way I think it is. When there's a lot of storm from other noise from other places rather than actual direct places, that's the way I like to believe it. When there's too much noise about someone, obviously, and it's coming around from the actual club itself, it probably means there's a whole lot of nothing. That's what I.
But you don't think it's justified. You don't think it's justified.
I don't think these lots. So apparently, according to David Ornstein, Sheikh Jassim's camp has said there's no chance. They strongly denied it, and they've got everything to back it up, right? Why would you take this long to do all of this just for it to be done by PSG and or whoever's going to be leading the bid for them to do the communications for that to happen, right? Like, why would you do that knowing the risk when you could have just got another representative? Like, do you know what I mean? It could have been anyone else.
You can get another cousin. You can get another cousin to do it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So I don't know. It sounds like a lot of this might be coming to a close. So it's just I have no one has any idea. A lot of this is NDA stuff, non-disclosure agreements. No one knows really anything. You can only make an opinion on it. The English media obviously won't want Ratcliffe, but you know, again, it's just a value of opinion and more what they know. That's why I'm waiting for Mike Keegan to Mike Keegan, nobody else, to say what he says. Even he said on his own Q&A, says, I don't actually know because nobody knows. I can only give you what's been, you know, given in small doses. But
I'll tell you what will happen though. If Man United are bought by well, probably either of the two entities, but more likely with Qatar, because of the new FFP rules coming in, where you obviously I know it's drip fed 90% this year, 80, then 70%, but in 3 years' time, you'll only be able to spend a maximum of 70% of the club's annual turnover on the combination of salaries, transfer fees, and agents' fees. It makes it more and more difficult for owners to be able to find ways to circumvent, you know, and for these, you know, people that are pulling money out of the ground to put money into the club. So the natural thing for them to do is to find efficiencies by going and setting up, just like what City Football Group did, buying all those teams all around the world, Melbourne City, New York City, the team in Singapore, the team in China, all of that stuff. The amount of efficiencies, team in Brazil, I think there's a team in Ecuador as well. The amount of like cost savings and efficiencies, like data sharing, the amount of things that you can do with regards to developing players, sending them overseas, the amount of ways that you can reduce that unnecessary spend that takes up that 70% limit by having a multi-club ownership model. I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United, as soon as they get taken over by Qatar, they'll get straight on the bandwagon and go and buy. They'll be the United Football Group, and they'll be buying up teams all over the world as well. It's just the next stage of football.
Yeah, man. It's look, man. I don't know if we're gonna know by Monday. Clearly, what the media said along the lines that there's maybe it was misinformed, saying that it's by Friday, take or leave it, is meaning after that they're gonna stop communications by Friday potentially. And it's like, but the bid still stands. It doesn't mean they're gonna pull out. Sean, obviously you've indulged into the finance world, and obviously Mo, you know a thing or two about finances as well. You both are smarter than me on this. Who do you, in your honest opinion, who do you think wins this?
Do you want honesty?
Like, yeah,
you want honesty? I feel like the Premier League and the people that are in power, they want Sir Jim Ratcliffe to win it.
Yeah,
they want that. For it's very, very obvious. They are trying so hard to find holes in the bid of the Sheikh Jassim. They're trying to prevent Qatar. They didn't want the Newcastle thing to go through. It was very obvious. They didn't think the Man City owners will do what they did now. So I think they will find a way, to be honest, not to have the Qataris win this bid. They will find a way, because I know that these people will have their ways of not making this happen.
If people don't know, Qatar own pretty much half of London, by the way.
Yeah, that too. And because if you hear every journalist and every media outlet are talking about one thing, that they want to own Man United to improve their picture in front of the English people. They want to do that.
Yeah.
They want
sports washing, right?
Yeah. I don't like that term. What does that term mean? Actually, that term doesn't mean anything. Like other sports washing. What does that mean? Sports washing.
Oh, it's just a way to. Well, it's got several different connotations to it, but one part of it is to try to dilute by investing in other countries and getting involved in other countries' cultural norms. You get a way to kind of dilute the bad sort of besmirchings on some of the cultural differences between the two countries. It's also a way to obviously divest their, on a more of a financial level, it's more of a way to divest their interests. Like the world is moving from oil bit by bit by bit. Slowly it's moving into greener energies and things like that. The wealth fund of a nation is there to protect the financial sustainable security in the future of that particular country. And if that country's wealth is built primarily on oil, on black gold,
yes,
then things like these sorts of ventures are ways to protect the future of the country as well by getting their finger in a bunch of different pies. Sports washing can be taken a bunch of different ways. It's a dirty name, but essentially it's just a way to kind of to clear up any bad reputational,
I'm just
hindrances that affect them.
Do you know what is and I want to ask Sean this. Do you know what's astonishing to me? That the Qataris are not overbidding, which is something I don't understand. They have the money. They overspent on the World Cup. Why they're not overbidding? Why they're not putting a bid that it cannot be rejected in front of the public eyes? Because at the end, the bids will be public. Once someone bid is accepted, every bid, your bid will be public. Isn't that correct, Sean? Once the bid is accepted, the other bidders...
It has to be, because Manchester United is still listed on the stock exchange, so they have
exactly.
to...
That's what I'm as of now, we don't know how much of the bids, but once you accept a bid, you will have to disclose what the other people offered, because it's a public... because there are shares, right? So why the Qataris are not putting money out that it cannot be rejected?
Well, because it's an investment, right? Like at some point in time, you have to make ends meet. It has to make sense economically. And if they were to go and say, you know what, I'm just going to pay you 7 billion, shut up, get it done. So Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos can't compete with that. But at some point, they're going to have to figure out a way. If you're paying 7 billion, are they ever going to make a profit on their investment? And that has to be like, it is an investment group. I know that the idea is that these guys have got more money. It doesn't matter. Like they've got more money than there is, sort of sand on the beach. It doesn't matter. To an investment fund, it does matter. They do have to find a way to make it make economical sense, even if they are punching and pushing those boundaries in order to get what they want. Because there's a bit of like a trade-off. The Qataris, on one hand, that whatever they want, they kind of get. Eventually, I agree with you to your point, that they'll find a way to make it happen, right? Because to them, it's about success. They want the best and all that sort of thing. But at the same time, they are held back a little bit by this idea that at some point it has to make economical sense. And if they were just to go and pay 7 billion, how does Manchester United ever create enough revenues money to be able to pay that back to cover it? So it has to make sense at some point.
I hope that the Qataris get it. To be honest, as an Arab, I hope the Qataris own Man United. I hope the Qataris buy Man United, and it's just as simple as that. For me, I don't support Man United, but I hope that the Qataris win it, for the sake of Man United fans, for the sake of the competition of the Premier League. Because it's not only about Arabs, it's all about competition. We see now what Newcastle are doing at the moment, getting sponsorships, inflated or non-inflated, you call it whatever. Man City creating companies and getting sponsorships, and how they invested in the community. And I want to have competition in the Premier League. And I don't get it. Like Liverpool fans or Arsenal fans don't want that. So Man City and Newcastle are just going to dominate. Is that what you want?
I think that's exactly. I think the ship has sailed, right? Like I think every fan.
Yeah,
I see the guys in the comments. The ship has sailed, right? Like Man City got ahead of doing this. If Abramovich wasn't forced to sell, his club because of what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, like he got ahead of the rules. Man City got ahead of the rules. These days they can make ends meet. They can generate enough player turnover and trading because of the things they did before the rules came in. Newcastle are in now, but the rules are in place. It will be interesting to see how Newcastle find their ways around to be able to utilize the wealth that they have, but also stay within the rules. And if Manchester United get bought out by the Qataris as well, look, it's a real problem for Arsenal fans, for Liverpool fans, for Tottenham fans, for Brentford, for Brighton. It's going to be, and eventually, if you want to compete, it's like if you can't beat them, join them. I'd love Tottenham to get bought out by a wealth fund. I would absolutely love it. I don't think there's any. I don't know how many of them there are left now. Maybe Brunei, Sultan of Brunei might come in. There's not many other wealth funds that are out there that have got obscene wealth that would still have an interest in football. But for me, to answer your question, I'd rather have Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe buy, because I don't think they can do the same things financially that Qatar can.
Yeah, big up Red John. It says, imagine the Ineos group bought over Man United. They're going to put United logo on a Mercedes F1 car. Lewis Hamilton will surely move to a Ferrari. Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? Big up for the super chat, John. But yeah, man, we might as well just wrap it up there. There's been some, news on both things. Transfer news, bit slow today at the moment. I'm pretty sure there's going to be loads to expect next week, guys. I think we're like 5 subscribers off of 9K, 9 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, man, make sure you do so. I don't really ask people to subscribe because naturally we think it's going to happen when you're hearing us talk. But if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and we'll probably be back later on tonight, potentially, if not tomorrow. tomorrow morning. Anyways, Daps is going to be live with myself. Well, he's going to be live in Turkey, Istanbul, before the game. So yeah, man, just watch out for that. And big up yourselves. Big up Sean. Big up Mo. And yeah, man, keep it moving. And this will be redirected to another stream.